Welcome, lovely one, to Maths Made Easy tutorial videos with me, Anthony Osei, Mensah, popularly referred to as the Mathematics Doctor. Now, in this video, I want to take a look at change of subject. So I'm going to take you through change of subject to understand what we mean by changing a subject. Now, let us get into the introduction. Now, introducing change of subject, we will first of all ask ourselves this particular question, that is, what is a subject in mathematics? Now, if you check the topic change of subject, it is made up of a word called subject. So at this point, we want to take a look at the meaning of the word subject and the change of subject before we deal with the change of subject itself. Now, in mathematics, a subject is basically a variable or an expression which is found alone at one side of the equal sign. So you see, basically, we want to say that if you have an expression, for example, this expression, v is equal to u plus 80, you'll be able to identify the subject easily by looking at the particular variable or the particular expression which is on its own. So in this expression, you realize that this variable v is alone at one side of the equal sign. Specifically, it is at the left-hand side of the equal sign. So in a nutshell, v becomes the subject. So we can now see on the screen that v is our subject. Now, this is very simple. Judging from the definition here, you realize that subject is basically a variable or expression which is found alone at one side of the equal sign. And since the v is found alone at the left-hand side of the equal sign, we consider it as a subject. Getting into it, let us now take a look at another way we have to deal with a subject. Now here, a subject could be a single variable or an expression or a fraction. So it means that we are saying that basically a subject is a single variable, or it could be an expression or even a fraction. Now let us take a look at this particular expression. You realize that y is equal to mx plus c is a complete expression. Now y is alone at the left-hand side of the equal sign. So this single variable y becomes the subject of the expression or the whole relation given. Now let us take a look at another one. This relation reads a over b is equal to 2x minus p qr. In this particular relation or expression, we realize that a over b is isolated at the left-hand side of the equal sign. Since a over b is alone at the left-hand side of the equal sign, we can conclude that a over b is the subject of this particular relation. So basically, we have seen how a subject looks like. Let us get more understanding in subject. Now, still looking at the subject, here it says that a subject can either be at the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the equal sign. It means that you can put a subject at the left-hand side and you can still put it at the right-hand side of the equal sign. Both places still qualifies the particular variable or particular fraction as a subject. Now, if you look at this expression, it says a is equal to 1 over b plus 3 over c. Now, this expression has the variable a or the letter a at the left-hand side isolated. Since it is at the left-hand side alone, we can say that it is the subject. So a becomes the subject in this particular expression. Now, let's get to another one. Now, we have k plus m over r squared is equal to p. Now, this particular relation is also having p as the subject, since p is alone at the right-hand side of the equal sign. So p here becomes the subject in this particular expression or relation. So with this, you'll be able to conclude on which of the variables is a subject. Once that variable stands alone at any side of the equal sign, it is the subject. Now, let us get into another part of the introduction. It says that a subject can be recognized as the letter or variable on its own, on one side of the equal sign. So that is also one way you can be able to identify a subject. Now, it goes further to say that usually, for the sake of examinations, it is preferred that the subject remains at the left-hand side of the equal sign. Yes, it is very true. At the end of solving a particular change of subject question, it is preferred that you leave the subject finally at the left-hand side of the equal sign for the sake of examination purposes. So let's continue and look at an introduction. Now, this is now what we are waiting for. The question here reads, what is change of subject? Now, once we know a subject, we should be able to get an understanding for change of subject. Now let us get the definition. Now, change of subject refers to the process of rearranging a given relation or formula to make another letter or letters the subject. So this is so clear. Let's say you have this relation. In this relation, you realize that V is a subject since it is standing alone at the left-hand side of the equal sign. Now, the process of making either U or A or T stand alone or the subject becomes what we call change of subject. So the procedure you go through, that mathematical methodology that you go through to make U the subject is what we call change of subject, or to make A the subject is what we call change of subject, and finally to make T the subject is what we call change of subject. Since V is now the subject, any one of these that we want to make a subject by taking it through a particular process, that process is referred to as change of subject. So that is what we are about to do in the coming videos. During change of subject, some processes are used to make the preferred variable the subject. So you realize that the processes are the same processes used to solve equations. So those of you who have watched my previous videos, you realize that the linear equation especially, it uses some procedure to make x the subject or to find the value of x or to solve for the variable in the equation. Those processes are what we also use in change of subject. So we are going to employ those processes in change of subject to make the preferred variable the subject. Now, if you continue, you realize that sometimes after changing the subject, you may be asked to substitute known values or real numbers of that variable into the new formula. Now, this process is referred to as substitution. It means that we will be going through substitution under change of subject. Once you make the variable the subject, you'll be given values of the variable which are in the answer, so that you will just do a substitution. You replace the variable with a real number so that you simplify and get a particular number or a real number to represent the entire expression. So this procedure is referred to as substitution. So we continue with the first phase of change of subject called relations with no fractions or root sign. Now let us solve questions under phase 1, which we will see relations or formula with no fractions or no root sign. Let us get into this phase. So still under phase 1, we want to take a look at the steps used for change of subject. Now let us take this particular question that says that make V the subject in the relation U plus V is equal to 80. So this is a complete question that we are supposed to make V the subject in this relation. Now let us get into the solution. Let's put the relation down. Now the relation is U plus V is equal to 80. You are supposed to make V the subject, and V happens to be at the left-hand side of the equal sign. That means that for V to be the subject, V must stand alone at the left-hand side of the equal sign. That means that U has to be moved or transposed or transferred to the right-hand side to join 80. So without much ado, let's get into the steps for this solution. I would prefer to repeat the equal sign. So let's bring the equal sign. Now that the equal sign is here, these two terms, one must leave and one must be maintained. Since V is supposed to be the subject, we maintain V. Then we will move, also referred to as transfer or transpose U to the right-hand side. So moving U to the right-hand side, you realize that we must repeat 80 because 80 is already at the right-hand side. So if 80 is repeated, now U can move. Let's see the procedure. It moves to the direction of the arrow and just beside the 80. Now U is a positive term at the left-hand side since there is no sign in front of it, so we consider it as a positive sign. Now when it moves across the equal sign, that is going through this side or even that side across the equal sign to the right-hand side, it will become a negative. So whilst you are moving U, this is what will happen. The U will have a negative sign and then U will come. So in conclusion, it will be V is equal to 80 minus U. U is positive at the left-hand side. When it moves to the right-hand side across the equal sign, it becomes a negative value. And that is the character of terms that move across the equal sign or that are changed in terms of their position with the equal sign. If it is positive, it will become negative. And when it is negative, it will become positive. So please take note of that. So with this arrangement, we end up getting AT minus U, which is equal to the V. So therefore, V is equal to AT minus U. Please take note of the fact that AT, the A and T are multiplying. So it is also referred to as A times T. So AT is a single term. Okay, so the term is called AT. So you have to take note of those terms that are multiplying to form a single term. So if we conclude, then this is what we are supposed to get. Let us do another question. Now in this question, it reads, make X the subject from the relation P plus X is equal to MV. Now with this, we are supposed to make X a subject. So look at the position of the X. The X is at the left-hand side of the equal sign, and the X is a positive number. Take note of that. P plus X are separated. They are not multiplying, they are adding, so they are separate, okay, or they are separated. You can just move P without affecting X, and you can still move X without it affecting P. So take note of that. Now, at the other side of the equal sign, specifically the right-hand side, you realize that MV is not separated, MV is multiplied. So it means that when you move M, V will move with it. So take note of that. So if we want to continue, then let's just go into the solution. Now, solution. Let's repeat the relation. The relation is P plus X is equal to MV. Now, we want to make X a subject. And by checking it from the relation, you realize that X is a positive value. So we will maintain X at the left-hand side, and then preferably we will move P, which is positive, across the equal sign to the right-hand side for it to become a negative P, leaving X alone at the left-hand side to become the subject. So let's bring our X. Now X has been repeated. Bring the equal sign. Now MV is a multiplication at the right-hand side. So bring MV. Then we move P from the left-hand side across the equal sign to the right-hand side. Since P is a positive value at the left-hand side, once it comes to the right-hand side, it will become negative. So bring the negative sign, then P will come. So you realize that we have been able to now transpose or transfer P to the right-hand side. Now we can conclude that therefore, X is equal to MV minus P. So that will be the final answer. Please take note that MV is a different variable from P. And that is why we cannot subtract them, because they are not like terms. The terms are not having the same variable. So it will be very odd to subtract them. So please take note of that. Let us take another question. Now in this question, it reads, make D the subject from the relation 2y plus 3 is equal to 5D minus 18. So the relation is 2y plus 3 is equal to 5D minus 18. Now in this relation, D is located, or D is found at the right-hand side of the equal sign. Let us now get into the solution. Now the solution, let us repeat the relation. Now judging from this relation, D is at the right-hand side of the equal sign, and it's a positive term. And then minus 18 is attached to it. So 5D is a combined term or a single term, also referred to as 5 times D. So whoever moves 5 will be able to also move the D. So they are multiplying, so they are together for now. Now minus 18. 18 can be moved to the left-hand side because it is subtracted from the 5D. So it has separated itself. Now let us get the like terms, or let us group the terms such that we can maintain 5D at the right-hand side and move minus 18 across the equal sign to the left-hand side. So in order to do that, we have to maintain 2y, because 2y do not have the variable to be made a subject. So let's bring the 2y. Now positive 3, that is plus 3, also will be maintained at the left-hand side. So plus 3 is there. Now if you check, minus 18 is a constant, plus 3 is a constant. So we'll move minus 18 to the left-hand side to join plus 3. But don't forget that as minus 18 is crossing the equal sign to the left-hand side, it will become a positive, because at the right-hand side is negative. So once it gets to the left-hand side, it will become a positive. So let us bring the plus and then 18. So meaning it has joined them at the left-hand side. So let's close it with the equal sign. So you realize that now the terms are all at the left-hand side. Now what is left at the right-hand side? You realize that 5D will be at the right-hand side. Now that we have grouped the terms such that we have the subject at the right hand side. The subject is not still free. D is not free because 5 is attached to it, or 5 is multiplying it, or the coefficient of the D is 5. So we'd have to get rid of the 5. Before that, we have like terms 3 and 18 can be added. So let's simplify them. So we'll get 2y, which is having the variable y, plus, now 3 plus 18 will give us 21, so plus 21. Now that we've simplified it, let's bring the equal sign, which is the next sign, and our 5d will come. Now please take note that 2y cannot be added to 21. So 2y plus 21 will be a term on its own. So 2y on its own and 21 on its own because they cannot be added. So this expression will be left alone because they are not like terms. We will now try and divide both sides by 5 in order to just make d stand alone. So let's repeat the whole thing and then divide the right hand side by 5. And then we divide the term at the left hand side also by 5. We divided here by 5 so that we can cancel the 5 or divide the 5 to make d stand alone. And then because of the equal sign, we have to also divide the left hand side according to the equal sign or according to any equation. If you do anything at the left hand side, do the same thing at the right hand side just to show the equality. So that's why when I divided here by 5, I divided this side also by 5 just to make sure there is an equal expression. Now we go on to now cancel 5 with 5. Any number that cancels itself, that is 5 will cancel itself 1, and 5 will still cancel the 5 at the numerator 1. So we'll be left with 1. 1 times d will still be d. So it means that going on to the next approach, we can still maintain our d since d was not cancelled out. So maintain the d. So we maintain 2y plus 21 over 5 and it's equal to d because d must be maintained. So this is what we get after cancelling the 5. So finally, therefore, d will be equal to 2y plus 21 all over 5. So this will be our final answer. So that is what we are getting from the question we're given. So please take your time, go through it one after the other, and then you get to the solution. Now, in this particular question, it reads, from the relation mt plus n is equal to mp plus q, make m the subject. So we are making m the subject in this relation. Now let us get into the solution. Let us bring the relation mt plus n is equal to mp plus q. Now, unlike the previous relations or questions that we solved, in this particular question, you realize that the subject that we are supposed to make is m, and m is having two terms containing it. So you realize that two terms are containing the m, and these two terms are mt and mp. So there are two different terms in this relation containing m. You cannot just say you want to make one of them the subject. You would have to move all the terms containing m to one side of the equal sign. Preferably, I'll choose the left-hand side of the equal sign. Now, whoever chooses the right-hand side will also get an answer which is similar to mine. In terms of appearance, they will be the same, but their signs may not be the same, but the value of the two answers are the same. That is mathematical. So I'll group all the terms containing m to the left-hand side. Already at the left-hand side, we can see that mt is there. So mt contains m, which is supposed to be made as subject. So I'll repeat there mt. So mt repeated. Now I'll bring mp, which is at the right-hand side, move it across the equal sign to the left-hand side. And you know the tradition. Once it is moving, the sign will change. Now, originally, the sign for MP is a positive sign. If you check MP very well, it's positive. No sign means positive sign. So when it crosses the equal sign to the left-hand side, it will become a minus MP. That is the meaning. Now, I have all the terms containing P, which is supposed to be made a subject. They are all now at the left-hand side. So I'll close it with the equal sign. So the equal sign is in place. Now, what I'll do is I will now rearrange the other terms that I don't need. That is to say, the terms that do not contain m. I'll arrange them at the right-hand side. Already, I have q at the right-hand side, which is positive q. So I'll put q there. Then the n is at the left-hand side, positive. It will cross the equal sign to the right-hand side, making it minus n. So this is what I'm going to get. mt minus mp is equal to q minus n. Now with this, I'm supposed to now think well. You realize that I'm making m the subject from the question, but I have two of the m's. Now, in this case, this is where mathematics must come in. Because m is found in this term and m is found in this term, we'll use a procedure called factorize. That is to say, we'll bring the common term out of a bracket so that it will become a single term. This is what I mean. In factorizing m out, I will bring the bracket, open and close the bracket. Then I'll move m, which is common in this term, and in this term I'll move m out here, so m will be there. So you just imagine you bringing out the common term m. That is to say, m will no longer be in these terms, but mathematically m will just cancel or divide out. So if m divide itself 1 and divide this m in this term, you realize that it will be left with t. So we'll bring t in this part of the bracket. Then our minus sign will follow, or better still, m here will divide this m from the p, and it will be left with minus p. You get the argument. So that is what we call factorization. After you have factorized a common term, it will cancel out from the terms, so leaving those without the m. So if you check, if you want to expand this particular bracket, m times t and m times minus p, you go back to mt minus mp. So that is how we do the factorization. Now, if you check very well, you realize that the factorization has made m a single term. Unlike the previous step, m were two terms, which are mt and minus mp. Now m is just a single term here with a bracket attached to it with the terms t minus p inside it. Now that we have factorized m out, we will bring the equal sign, then repeat the term at the right hand side, which is k minus n. So in a nutshell, or in conclusion, the advantage of factorization in change of subject is to make a term or more terms having the variable to be made a subject 1. So all the terms having the variable to be made a subject, when you factorize the variable out, you get just a single variable, and there will be no term containing that single variable supposed to be made a subject. So in this case, m is just single, and then we have a bracket t minus p attached to it. Now let's get into the next stage. Now the next stage says that since we have m factorized out, the term or the particular expression attached to the m is multiplying it, so we'll divide it so that it will leave. Now let's bring it back again. Now we'll divide the left hand side by t minus p, because we want to cancel t minus p out to make m stand alone. So let's divide, bring the division sign, then t minus p will be dividing down there. So t minus p, this same t minus p expression has been divided down here so that they will cancel out. But since there is an equal sign here, whatever I do at the left hand side, I have to do the same thing at the right hand side. So if you realize I divided t minus p at the left hand side, I have to still divide t minus p at the right hand side. So k minus n will be divided by t minus p. The reason is simple. Whatever you do at the left hand side, do the same thing at the right hand side. So once I've divided t minus p to cancel out at the left hand side, I'll divide t minus p at the right hand side. Even though I cannot cancel it out, it is still correct. Now let's cancel out. T minus p cancel at the denominator, and t minus p cancels at the numerator. So cancelling it out means it is gone. So that leaves a number 1, multiplying m to be still m. So just take it as you have cancelled them out, and it is left with m. So we go to the next stage where m is left here. So we repeat m. So let's bring the m. So therefore the m is there. Then the equal sign will come. Then we have k minus n all over t minus p. So that will become our final answer. Final answer will therefore be m is equal to k minus n all over t minus p. You can pause the video and understand every step that I used to get to the final answer. As I rightly said from the beginning, you can still group all your terms containing m to the right hand side. You will also get similar values like mine, but the arrangement will be different, but still the value is the same. Okay, so that is how we change subject using factorization. Please let us take another question. Thank you very much. Now in this question it reads, make x the subject in the relation a plus b plus mx is equal to 2 minus x. Still, in this particular relation, we have two of the terms containing the variable to be made a subject. The variable to be made a subject is x. Then we have the term mx containing x. We also have the term minus x having x. It is x itself. So we are going to now go through the same method we used in the previous example. Let us get into the solution. Now with the solution, let's repeat the expression. So a plus b plus mx is equal to 2a minus x. Now let us group all the terms containing the variable to be made a subject at one side. Now I want to group them at the left hand side. Now at the left hand side, originally we have positive mx there, that is plus mx. So let's bring the mx. Now if we check or look through, you realize that at the right hand side we have minus x, which is also having an x. So we'll transfer it to the left-hand side, crossing the equal sign to be positive. So minus x will move across the equal sign, come here, and becomes positive x. Now we have all the x, or all the term containing x at the left-hand side. It means we are done. We have to close it with the equal sign. Once you've been able to group all the terms containing the variable at one side of the equal sign, I prefer the left-hand side. You can also use the right-hand side. Once you've grouped them at one side, you can close it up with the equal sign. And then the rest of the terms that are not having the variable to be made a subject, you group all of them to the other side. So this time it will be at the right-hand side. So we bring b to the right-hand side, and we already have 2a at the right-hand side. So let's repeat 2a because already it is at the right-hand side. Then let us bring b. Now b is positive at the left-hand side, and a is also positive at the left-hand side. Now since we have 2a, there is a like term of a here. Remember, whilst you are also rearranging, you must also be very, very careful about the like terms. So let's group like terms. Instead of bringing b, I'll prefer to bring a. So positive a moving to the right-hand side will become minus a. Then finally, we'll bring the b, since the b do not have an x to be made a subject. B, which is positive, will also move from the left-hand side across the equal sign to the right-hand side to become minus b. So clearly, we have grouped all the terms containing the variable x to be made a subject at the left-hand side, and the rest of the terms that do not contain the variable x to be made a subject are at the right-hand side. So let us try and then factorize at the left-hand side. We have x in both terms, mx and plus x. So we bring our bracket, then we factorize x out. So x is out. Now x will cancel this x, or we just divide the x remaining with m. And then x will divide itself and divide this one to 1. Remember, any variable that cancels or divides itself will produce 1 as the answer. So positive 1. Okay, variables behave that way, and even real numbers behave that way. So x divide x to give 1. So take that as a note. So take note of that. Now let's continue. Now we bring the equal sign, which is the next sign. Now 2a minus a, don't factorize even though you can factorize. But in this case, the right approach is to simplify. The variable a is 2 here. The variable a is 1 here. So 2 of the a minus 1 of the a will give you just 1 of the a. 1a. That is a. So 2a minus a is a. If you factorize, you end up getting the same thing. You get it? So please simplify. 2a minus a is a. Now minus b will come, minus b. Now in this case, a minus b cannot be simplified because they are not like terms. A is a different variable from minus b. So a minus b will continue to remain a minus b. Now we continue to just make x a subject. Now that we have factorized x out and m plus 1 is at the left hand side multiplying x, we will divide both sides by the m plus 1 that we don't need so that x can be alone. So the next stage we repeat the same expression, and then we divide here, that is the left hand side, by m plus 1 that we don't need. Since we have the equal sign here, at the right hand side, we'll still do the same division. We divided here by m plus 1. So we divide the right hand side also by m plus 1. So the left hand side divided by m plus 1 will cancel itself out. So m plus 1 will cancel out, remaining with x. Then at the right hand side, nothing can cancel out. So we remain the expression that way. Now let's go to the next stage. Since x is remained, or x remains at the left hand side, we'll bring the x. So the x will come here. So x will be equal to, the expression at the right hand side is a minus b over m plus 1. So that is the final answer for this particular question. Therefore, x is equal to a minus b, all divided by m plus 1. That is the final answer. Thank you very much. Now, this will be our final question in this particular phase. In this phase, remember, we don't have fractions and we don't have root signs. All that we are dealing with is grouping like terms or grouping terms with the same variable to be made a subject, and then we just go ahead and solve. And this question reads, make Q the subject of the relation. 4t minus pq is equal to 3 into bracket q minus r. Now we will just go ahead with the solution. Now solution. 4t minus pq is equal to 3 into bracket q minus r. Now we are making q the subject, don't forget. And then the q is at two different places in this particular relation. The first place is where we call minus pq. And then the other place is q, which is in the bracket. Now, for you to get the kill well, we have to expand the bracket. So the first procedure is not grouping them though, but the first procedure is to expand the bracket to make kill free. Let's expand. But before you expand, please repeat the terms at the left-hand side. So 4t at the left-hand side and then minus p kill at the left-hand side. Then the equal sign will come. Now 3 will multiply kill. Since there is a bracket, you expand by multiplying. The coefficient 3 multiply kill to give us 3 kill. And then 3 will multiply negative r to give us negative 3r. So you can see that with this, we can now group all kill to one side of the equal sign. Now looking at the way this whole thing is, I want to now group it at the right-hand side of the equal sign. So all the terms containing kill should come to the right-hand side of the equal sign, and the terms which do not contain kill should be at the left-hand side. So 4t has no kill, so I'll bring 4t. Now there is a term here at the right-hand side called negative 3r, which does not have the kill. We are going to make kill the subject. So all terms that do not have kill, I want to put them at the left-hand side this time around. So it will be minus 3r crossing the equal sign to the left-hand side to become positive 3r. Now that I have all the terms that do not contain kill at the left-hand side, I will now bring the equal sign. Now I'll group all the terms containing kill at the right-hand side of the equal sign. Now checking from the right-hand side, 3 kill is already there. So let's repeat 3 kill. Now from the left-hand side, we have negative p kill, which will cross the equal sign to become positive p kill. Now I have grouped all the terms containing kill at the right-hand side and all the terms that do not have kill at the left-hand side. So this is what we get at the end of the day. Remember, we are making kill the subject. That is why we are interested in grouping kill alone. Now that we have all kill to the right-hand side, we cannot simplify the terms at the left-hand side because they are not like terms. So let's repeat 4t plus 3r, which are not like terms, equal to. Now these terms have kill in common. So we'll factorize to make kill stand alone. So we factorize kill at the right-hand side. Open the brackets, bring your kill out. When kill comes out, kill will cancel this 3 kill. Kill cancelling out, remaining with 3. So 3 will be here, and then kill will cancel the p kill, but it will only cancel the kill part of the p kill. So kill cancels out, remaining with positive p, so plus p. Now that we have factorized kill out, we can now make kill the subject by dividing both sides by the 1 in the bracket so that they can cancel out and leave kill alone. Let's repeat 4t plus 3r is equal to kill into bracket 3 plus p. Now let's divide the right-hand side by 3 plus p, which we are cancelling out so that kill can be free. But because of the equal sign here, we have to do the same division at the left-hand side. We divided here the right-hand side by 3 plus p, so we must also divide the left-hand side by 3 plus p. So we divide the left-hand side by 3 plus p, so divided by 3 plus p. Now let's cancel out because 3 plus p is common here. At the numerator and at the denominator, they'll cancel out to make kill stand alone so that kill can now be the subject. So cancel the numerator with the denominator. So they cancel out. Now kill didn't cancel itself, so it remains alone. So we go to the other side. You realize that at the left-hand side, we have 4t plus 3r all over 3 plus p. They cannot cancel out because they are not common. So let's repeat that kill is equal to 4t plus 3r all divided by 3 plus p. So that means the kill standing alone, I've brought it to the left-hand side because that is a subject. And then the terms at the left-hand side, I bring it to the right-hand side. And it is a correct arrangement. Even though you just go into the arrangement, it is also correct. So therefore, kill is equal to 4t plus 3r all over 3 plus p. And that is the final answer. Thank you very much. So lovely one. This brings us to the end of phase 1. We will now take a look at phase 2, but we'll do that in the subsequent video. So please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell icon so that you can be notified anytime we upload new videos. Now, we will see you in the next video, that is phase 2. Relations with fractions, but no root sign. My name is Osei Mensah, popularly referred to as Tony, the mathematics doctor. This has been Math Made Easy tutorial videos. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.